Uprisers, good morning. It is Tricia LaCroix with Sacred Uprising Institute and Conference. We are awakening the consciousness of infinite love within you. I wanted to remind everybody that we have a conference coming up September 18th, 19th, and 20th in Santa Cruz, California. It is a Sacred Uprising Conference at Mount Madonna. If you want more information on Mount Madonna, go to mountmadonna.org. Otherwise, you can go to sacreduprising.com to get more information on the actual conference. Today we have Courtney Walsh, and she is joining us to talk about the Wendy Syndrome Part 2. So I'm really excited about hearing her additional information about this. She is signing on right now. Let me So, as you know, Courtney Walsh is an author. She is a motivational speaker, and she is also an intuitive coach, and she's an amazing person. On Tuesday, she spoke to us about what the role of Wendy was with Peter Pan, and how they worked together. Wendy being the mother figure, and how many of us women get into relationships where we have to mother our men or babysit our men. And she had me talk a little bit about my past relationship, how it affected me and what that was like. And today she's going to be talking about Peter Pan's role. We're having a little bit of difficulty getting her added on. So I would perform for you, maybe sing for you, but I don't think anybody wants that while we're waiting. So yeah, in fact, my show producer just shook her head no. So let's see. Okay, so if have Courtney asked to be added on again, please. So anyways, and then at noon today we have my next video, and it is called Calling in the One. And I do have a special guest that's going to talk about how she called in the one for herself. So stay tuned for that at noon Pacific Standard Time. I know, Lori, it's hilarious. Not so much, right? So we always, because we're dealing with internets and different people's cell phones, it's always a little bit difficult. It can be difficult bringing people on. Okay, then Courtney, then unlock your phone and then jump on. So just having a little bit of difficulties today. So bear with me. You don't want to miss Courtney Walsh. You can go to our YouTube channel. I can mention that while we're waiting. Go to our YouTube channel, which is Sacred Uprising. Look for the peony and subscribe to us there. That's where you'll see our videos are uploaded to YouTube within 24 hours. So if you can't, I know many people, we have these videos during the day, and many people are at work and they can't watch them live. So go to and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can watch them there. We have everything from energy healers to like authors. We have several authors. We have psychologists who talk about for life improvement, people that were raised like I was in church and going from the tradition of religion to the truth of spirituality. Yes, Lori, thank you. Yes, this is worth waiting for. I promise you. We have even for the highly elevated, we have the conscious evolver. Yay, we did it! Yay! I was running out of things to talk about. The wonders of technology. It's awesome. Yeah, right?
Well, you had me lock it. It's your fault. I am going to blame you. You had me lock it. I hadn't done that the other times.
Yeah, but
I don't need to do that. I just need to tilt the phone.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So when you lock it, just for your information, when you lock it, it doesn't let you join.
Real? No, that's actually because I have another speaker who has to lock her screen. So it's the only way. Otherwise, I'm one way and she's like the other way. So regardless.
Okay. We're good.
Yeah. Oh, Lori's laughing because I was saying I'll sing for everybody while we were waiting for you. And my show producer was like, no. So I'm so glad that we're here today. So I was introducing the subject of the Wendy Syndrome, Courtney. But first, I want to remind everybody, Courtney is an author. She's the author of Dear Human. I know many of you have seen her meme that went viral, over 100 million. I think is what you told me the last time they checked. 100 million. So if you're not familiar, just type in Dear Human meme and you'll see it. It's amazing. And it's actually what drew me to Courtney. I have had one-on-ones with Courtney for, I don't know what you want to call it. It wasn't soul coaching, but it wasn't a reading. It's different.
I usually call it intuitive counseling.
There you go, intuitive counseling. So I've had that one-on-one with her, and I've seen how I just have so much respect for you because you're just so real. And that's part of the Sacred Uprising platform. I want people who live what they teach. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you, other than you're just amazing, you're just crazy good, right? So
nobody who's a bigger, messier human than me, I'll tell you.
I love the messy. I love being messy because you know what, it's real, right?
Trying to even get it going.
You know what? And before we get into your topic, I want to say this. Do you know what I don't trust with people? If their pictures on Facebook are always just picture perfect, I don't trust them. Because I've known several people like that, because I'm like, nah, because no, I want to know what's real. If your hair's out of place, if it's not a perfect picture, that's what I want to see. If it's a pictures that are always like perfect, then I know there's a lot hidden. I don't want to, that's not my tribe.
Don't check my Instagram, because my Instagram is perfect.
Yeah, those filters are amazing. So
that's everybody.
We digress. We're chit-chatting.
We always digress. It's fun. That's the fun part.
So on Tuesday, you talked about the Wendy Syndrome, and just so everybody understands, when she said she wanted to talk about the Wendy Syndrome, me being almost 50 was like, well, what is she talking about? What's the Wendy Syndrome?
I'm almost 50 too, honey.
I wasn't catching on. It was the Peter Pan and Wendy, right? And what you talked about was explaining Wendy's role. Wendy is the mother. Yeah. She's the babysitter. She's the one that makes sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and how us as women, or it doesn't have to be a gender role, but the feminine in a relationship, how many of us take on that role. And it's not a role that is an equal partnership. It's a role where one is domineering over the other and getting really frustrated while we're doing it. And I had that in my past relationship. And then we just talked a little bit about Peter Pan. And what you said was, when you and I were talking about it, we're going to talk about today, is Peter Pan going from that boy who never grows up into the divine masculine presence. And that is where the divine feminine, and even Wendy going from the mother and the babysitter into the divine feminine, where you are standing hand in hand as a powerhouse together, not one leading the other.
Right. So that's perfect. We're talking about archetypes and roles, right? And we're talking about genders and energies, and we're the cusp of the planet kind of turning from having been a matriarchy, then a patriarchy, now to something that's more of an even flow between the genders and the roles. On the planet, you can see it everywhere you look. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So I'm going to delve a little bit into the Peter Boy, Lost Boy thing, even though that's a lot more well known than the Wendy Syndrome, which is why I focus so much on Wendy Syndrome, which is about becoming a martyr or a victim and overdoing, overfunctioning, overgiving, overloving, and then feeling depleted, resentful, exhausted, frustrated, invisible, unsupported, etc. So that's kind of Wendy in a nutshell. And Peter is the one who doesn't want to grow up, and he's whimsical and playful, and he's really about the toxic masculinity that, it gets thrown around a lot, this phrase, but he's about the shadow side. And he even has Wendy try to sew on his shadow at one point when they first meet. That's like how they meet. So he's really hungry for that mama love that she offers, that sister energy, that safety, that sanctuary, that home. And she's looking for adventure. She's kind of out on her windowsill staring at the stars, and he comes along, and so they're kind of a perfect match for a while. And then you start to see the flaws and and the, you know, things behind the perfection filters, right? And then they can be even more perfect together. And that's the part I want to focus on today. Is you had asked about what are red flags so we can avoid Peters. It's not about that. It's about what's the white flag within our own hearts so that we aren't becoming Peters, we aren't punishing Peters, and we aren't attracting Peters, but we are attracting men who maybe once were a Peter, because every guy was once probably a bit of a player and a Peter, and now he wants to be his full expression of his divine masculine king self. He wants to go from the petulant, whiny prince who wants to drink and fuck his way through life and never have accountability to someone who is ready to take on more of a mantle of responsibility, of intimacy, of freedom that is shared, not just selfish, but selfless and giving and loving and sovereign. And he's a helper, he's a doer, he's a giver, he's someone who, you know, has stopped chasing the high and is starting to settle into himself and become more comfortable in his own skin. He's not just out there looking for novelty and variety now. That's boring to him now. He is now looking for something deeper, more lasting, and more meaningful. So here comes a Wendy who is all of those things. She's the solid, dependable, you know, nurturer, the mama, and he loves her. And then you have Tinkerbell, who's kind of the sassy one. So really the perfect woman, I guess, would be a combination of the sassy, bratty rebel, who's Tinkerbell, and the solid, sweet, dependable, nurturing one who's got your back, which is the Wendy.
Right.
Now with Peter, we don't really have a higher expression of Peter in that story. We have a Captain Hook, who's kind of a villain, who definitely is out there to get Peter, because he doesn't, you know, he just has a real jealousy thing for Peter. And, you know, so, and then you have the crocodiles and the mermaids, which we talked about, are kind of the different expressions of obstacles or victories and triumphs on the one hand, where you're just relaxing and you're basking and life is coming to you, or the crocodiles, which are the things swimming around us that can cause what we would clinically call anxiety and depression, which I never label as those things, because I think it's ultimately the most toxic thing you can do on this planet is to say to people, oh, you suffer from blah, 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 blah syndrome. Here's a pill with blah, 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 blah symptoms.
I agree.
Side effects.
I agree.
That is not helpful. It is actually counterproductive, and it is actually quite harmful to focus your energies on those words and labels and looking for solutions to those problems. What we want to do is go into our magic. And that's the beauty of the Peter Pan story, is find what is your bliss, people call it your passion, your dream, whatever. What is the thing that lights you up and makes you feel at peace within yourself, that makes you feel amazingly in love, but not just in love, to be that love that overflows, okay, that fountain of love. And to bring these forces together and share them, and then have them face the world, rather than battle of the sexes, where they're facing each other and fighting and, you know, jockeying for position, and it's ego, and it's who's going to be on top and who's going to win and who's going to be more visible and who's going to be more, you know, whatever. That's really the old stuff. The new stuff we want to call in, that we're going to focus on today, is how does Peter get loved so that he can grow up?
Right.
And how do all young boys who are shooters in schools, for example, get seen so they don't need to go and have negative attention, or the haters and the trolls, etc.? That would be the crocodiles in the waters, right? So how do we get to a place where love is, and not just kindness and compassion and niceness and politeness, which is all more of a patriarchal, you should be that way because, you know, it's the good thing to do.
Right.
But because it's not from obligation or pressure, but it's from natural, organic overflow of your heart energy.
Right. Right.
And the brain has been so over worshipped and so overloaded, and we have, you know, an information age where information's coming at us and stimulation all the time and things pulling us here, there, and there. And to drop it down into that heart space where Wendy just resides, really. And she's always beckoning Peter there. He does too, in his way, actually. When he's flying, he's in that heart energy. He's in that universal love. He's in that divine bliss, right? Right. And when Wendy is nurturing the Lost Boys, she's getting to give her gift. And when it isn't received, then, you know, it's a problem. Her own siblings are kind of like sick of her already. They're like, yeah, we get you. You're Wendy. But the new Lost Boys who've never had what she's offering are kind of hungry for it. And they're swirling around trying to get her attention and get her affection and get her love. So how does Peter and the Lost Boys, how do they get the love they need so they can grow up and step up and have Wendy's back and not keep pissing off Tink or ignoring Tink or pretending Tink is just a cute little fluffy thing that's there for their entertainment? Right. You could say Tink would be like the stripper on the pole or the prostitute. That would be another archetype for Tink, right? She's there to pleasure, right? And so Wendy's sort of almost desexualized in her long nightgown and her ponytail, and they make her look very young and innocent and sweet. You know, the girl next door versus the girl, you know, the porn star or whatever. Who's, you know. So again, more archetypes, more roles, more different iterations of the same energies, which are love, hunger, which is the biggest problem on this planet. It's not clinical depression. It's not war. It's that all that stuff is secondary and stems from that love hunger, that need we all have to see and be seen, to love and be loved.
And, you know,
to feel,
I want to say this, is that you said about, how does he grow up to become, this divine masculine presence? Well, this is my thing. And, women, we can't make him grow up. You can't do it. Don't try to rescue them.
No, it backfires.
That is going to backfire, and you're only going to get hurt, and you're never going to get what you want from it. They have to do it.
You will abort, you will absolutely abort or thwart the process or delay the process.
Yep.
So sometimes what the best thing Wendy can do is go, I'll see you guys later. I'm going for a manicure. You guys can cook for yourselves. You guys can clean up. Mama's out.
Right.
Mama's on strike.
Right.
And it looks like withholding or punishment or castration. It looks like, judgment or a lack of compassion or empathy. And it's really the opposite of all of those things. It's the most loving thing Wendy can do for herself and the men in her life, whether they're sons or brothers or fathers or bosses or lovers or husbands. That is the best gift you can give them, is your absence sometimes when they are not honoring your presence.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to withdraw your energy so that they can then go fill up and then come to you as full beings, not love hungry, seeking, taking beings who never really respect or adore you in the fashion that you deserve and that you came here, be the God. Right.
Right.
So, yeah. So, what are some of the markers of the Peter Pan on the cusp of growing up? He is getting more serious about finding a life mate and a partner, wife or a spouse, rather than just a girlfriend. He is starting to realize that the accolades and trophies and, the things of the world are becoming more empty and less shiny, and that's not the challenge he's looking for anymore. That's not the conquest or the next thing he's ready to conquer. What he's ready now to do is to go into his inner magical child, into his garden, and tend those old wounds where he felt abandoned, where he felt rejected, either by his primary core parents or his family of origin, by former lovers, by anyone.
Right.
And then crystallized that wound and said, well, forget it. I'm never getting married. I'm never growing up. I'm not going to, maybe he then turns it all into workaholism or career-oriented focus rather than creating a family or work-life balance. So, but, I have some friends who are, God bless them, they're wonderful men, and they're in their 30s and 40s, and they're going through some kind of like midlife crisis kind of thing. And that's when they start to get a little fatter around the belly and a little thinner around the, the temples. And they start realizing that being the party boy is kind of lame now. And it's not really fulfilling their core needs of intimacy, of connection, of being, in a partnership where it is equal, where the communication flows, where someone gets you and you have fun and it's playful. And you have fights and you make up and life goes on. He's hungry for that in a different way. It's not the lust hunger of the seeking kind of predator prey thing. It's more of I know she's out there. I know I can feel her getting closer. I can feel myself getting prepared and ready, and I can't do this the old ways I did it. I have to come up with new strategies, new solutions, new energies, it's vulnerable for him. It's awkward. He's not being able to fall back on his old pickup lines or his old bullshit or drinking or drugging or any of the standard things that used to work for him.
Right.
Because again, he's gotten bored with that, and it's not fulfilling anymore. It doesn't work for him on the spiritual, on the soul level, on the heart and soul level.
For Peter Pan, in my opinion, is somebody who lives in dreamland. That they just
nothing wrong with dreamland. I live there all the time. Yeah. It's not dreamland.
Well,
it's not reality.
Yeah, it's where there's words, but there isn't actions. There is.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what I mean. But so
that's a huge turnoff.
Yeah,
it's a huge turn. I don't care anymore I have one guy out there who's written 3 poetry books about me and does it every night. I don't care anymore about your words. If you were to show up on my doorstep with flowers and say, I'm taking you out for coffee, I'd probably be a little freaked out because now I kind of think you're a poet stalker. So don't do that, please. but you know, we may be past that point, this guy.
Right.
But no, words are empty without actions lining them.
It's absolutely.
It could be the most beautiful, exquisite poem or song in the world. But if you're not there holding me while you're singing it to me, or you're singing it to millions, or writing it for, you know, thousands, I don't care.
Right.
And I'm not saying that to be callous. I'm saying it because it doesn't hit my heart.
Right. I agree with you. And that's why I went from a man that it was all words, beautiful. I mean, he's a writer. The beautiful words and everything that he
They're the worst.
Not a freaking action behind it. No action whatsoever. Yeah. And now I have a man that, right, a little less talk, a little more action, right, exactly. And now I have a man that I just speak something and it's done. He gets it done.
That's amazing.
It's unlike anything that I've ever experienced before. And I think, you know, and I told him, and I posted on Facebook, I had a date night with my superhero, you know, last night. Yeah. And when he saw it, he was like, we were at dinner. He's like, really? And I said, you don't understand. You don't understand. Yeah. And all I said to him was, he and I had a conversation the night before, and I was feeling some anxiety about this business that I'm building. And I said, how is it affecting our relationship? And he said, are you afraid that it's, you know, do we need more couple time? And you know, you see my posts, we're always doing stuff together. And I said, yeah, I do. So he said, all right, let's go to dinner. We're going to dinner. And he made the reservations. He got it done. We met and had dinner, and now we have another date tonight. And then we have another date on, you know, with the fan. So he is a man of action, little words, but a lot of action. And that's where I know that I am loved and I am safe, because he does what the truth is in the silence, and there's a lot he doesn't say, but he shows me. That's huge.
Yeah, and then you can go to Gary Chapman and the 5 Love Languages, which everyone on the planet should read.
Agreed.
And learn your love language and style. And if you're in a long distance relationship and touch is your primary love language, and that's how you feel loved, and you're not getting to touch this person, that's a bummer. Yeah. That's not going to really make you feel loved.
Right.
Or if your primary, you know, thing is quality time and someone works 90 hours a week, that's not going to make you feel loved, like, ever. You'll always be feeling empty and resentful and then guilty for feeling those things because, oh, well, he's following his dream and his passion, and that's great and good for him, but you're home alone. That's not a relationship. It's not a partnership. So, or it's not a basis for one. I mean, all of these things can change because, like I said last week, my mom had to work very hard and lovingly and crack the whip on my dad when he was becoming a workaholic, or like when earlier in their marriage, when I was probably about 4 or 5, he was still wanting to go out and party with his friends. She's like, you have a wife and kid now. That's not your reality anymore, buddy. You know, and he was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And it was like, it just hadn't clicked until she pointed it out. And she wasn't trying to be a nag, and she wasn't trying to be a bitch or ball buster or, you know, cage him. She was just saying, have you not caught up to the memo here? This is what we're doing. Get on board.
Right. Right.
So he finally did. And I know for them, for years, they were scared of each other, and they danced around their attraction for each other because they were afraid the other one would reject them at the core, right? You know, are you going to take my love offerings and hold them gently, or are you going to be silent and distant and run away and leave me like, you know, my dad, my mom, my whoever, right? And we all have those old scars that we kind of reactivate and bring sometimes into new partnerships. But then, so you worked it out with him. He got to reassure you and say, well, what do you need? I'm here. Let me do it.
Yeah, in fact, he said to me, because I didn't know what I needed. I just knew something was off. And he said, when he said, do you need more couple time? He goes, well, babe, why didn't you just ask me? And I'm like, because I didn't know that's what it was. And he's like, well, it's done. Whatever you want, it's done. And that's how this man lives his life. And so I'm thankful for whatever journey he had to take to go from being Peter to where he is today. And whatever that includes, I'm very grateful for, because where he is today, he's not Peter Pan. He's a freaking superhero that there are no obstacles that he can't remove and get it done to take this family and unite it and make me feel that I am the most coveted, loved, protected woman on the face of this earth.
Amazing. That's what you want. And that's, again, we're not slamming Peter. We want to keep the whimsy and the playfulness and the goofiness and the awkwardness, because that's so sweet, endearing, and sexy.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's more sexy when the actions back up the words, as we've said over and over and over, when there's solid feeling of support that's mutual, and that's, you know, like, even I met this guy. He was in a 40-year marriage. He was blissfully still madly in love with his wife. And I said, "What was your secret?" He goes, "We spoil each other."
Yeah.
And I know that's what my parents did.
Yes.
My mom would always make sure that, you know, that things were in, you know, in a good shape for when he came home, so it'd be a smooth transition from the world to the house. And he always went out of his way to make her feel like he was thinking of her, or that he appreciated her, or that he cherished and adored her. And they say worship the ground you walk on and kiss your ass, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. You know, and that king and queen energy, as opposed to the prince and princess who are fumbling around and, you know, drinking, drugging, and partying and fucking anything that moves. Those are the princes and the princesses. That's their job. And that's teenagers, 20s. If it's into your 30s and 40s, it's starting to get a little pathetic, you know. But this is where we're at, right? We're in that king and queen sovereign mutual union part of our lives where we don't want to fuck around with that shit anymore. No. We don't want to waste our time, our energy. There's a great meme that's like, "Hey, I'm over 40. Are we traveling? And, you know, I don't care if we're, you know, going out to eat and fucking. Are we traveling and buying property together?" You know, like, and maybe one of you is not in a position to buy property right now. But you know, like, let's have something that's ours, that's just for us and not for the world and not for show, and that's private and sacred and not necessarily secret, transparent and open and loving. But so this is what I mean when I say Peter and Wendy grow up. And it's not a bad thing. We've been taught that, like, being a grown-up means your heart dies, and then your magic shrivels up, and then you're, you know, in traffic and you're in a cubicle, and that's it. And life's over. Now you're coasting towards retirement and death. That is not what grown-up Peter Pan and Wendy are doing. They're going out having great, beautiful, sensual meals and having incredible, sumptuous time in bed, talking and laughing and playing and making love together. They are having a soulful, juicy, lengthy partnership. It isn't just who's the next one and who's the next one and who's the next one and what can I get from this one and what can I get from that one and how can I take and take and take and never give back. Really.
No, and you don't, like you said, you don't want to lose the full essence of Peter Pan, because I gotta tell you, know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, Charles, his personality is Tony Stark. He's a badass, but he is funny. You know, there's that, you know, that confidence, but there's that whimsy about him as well. And so we have this playmate
running an empire.
Yeah, right. Empire. That's exactly.
Hard ass and wisecracking the fool and playing the jester, but he is secretly running an empire.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. So I love the playmate part of it. I love where he can still be a little boy and I can still, you know, be my goofy self. You know, we have that, but we come together. You're right, as a king and queen. And it was interesting. I had somebody say to me months ago, said something about me being a rebel. And I said, you know what? I've always been a rebel. However, something's changed in me. I'm the queen now. I have nothing more to prove. And so I don't have to be a rebel. I can sit in my silence. I can be the queen. And I've got this king next to me, and we are ruling our empire. We're transforming it. But yet we can go in private and be playmates and have fun and belly laugh and all of that too. So it's to keep that little girl essence or that little boy essence is really important. But when the biggest part of them is the Peter Pan or the biggest part is the Wendy, you don't want that. No.
That's what it is. It's the balance of keeping the good parts of those characters and roles and stories and ditching the part that you know are stagnant now because you're not outgrowing them. And so it's become a cage, and it's become a cozy little whoopee cocoon, not a good safe one where it's sanctuary, but now one where it's too tight. It doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't fit. Get out of there and stretch your wings, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I love it.
Yeah, so what I think is the most thrilling is that if we take this out of the individual couple, like you and your dude, or me and the 17 dudes I'm interviewing, and see if they're ready to move from Peter to Maybe there's like 50. No, 3. I've got a whole bunch of guys scratching their heads.
Going, what? Wait, huh?
I'm looking for one. I really, truly am. But anyway, where's I going with that? Oh, so just like if we take it universal, so that was the individual way of, you know, like we found each other and we're ruling our roost and our empire. And that's cool. You see these power couples out there all the time on the global scene, whether it's in Hollywood or politics or wherever, and they're sexy and it's cool and they're, you know, still multifaceted. They seem to, and again, that's the key. Everybody has their stuff behind closed doors, but they have the home life cracked, that code, and the public life. And that's a very delicate balance. It definitely takes some very strong personalities and strong energies to do that dance. But then like let's take it universal. Let's take it. I was totally kidding. It's like I have a full bench. Yeah, you're all on the bench right now. Let's see who's gonna get in the game.
You're sitting on the ground too.
Let's see who's skills, boy.
Lisa's on a roll.
She's good. We play. It's like we got to get her on here too.
Right.
So anyway, where was I going?
I don't know.
Oh, taking it universal. Yes, taking it universal. So out of the individual couple of just a man and a woman, because again, we know there are plenty of gender configurations and iterations that can happen there. But if we take it universal, the Wendy archetype and the Peter Pan archetype, it is within, like we talked about, it's within us. So you got to grow up your own Wendy inside you and your own Peter, whatever those love hunger things are, whatever those fears of being visible or fears of being invisible are, whatever those, you know, lingering wounds from past loves who didn't like love you unconditionally are, whatever that stuff is, you gotta like just scream it out and let it go and be, you know, like hold it gently too a little bit, but then be ready to move past it. And Lisa, she's saying I have draws to see who's gonna get in the game. No, really, at this point, the major criteria is show up in my life, be there, physically present, tangible in my daily life. Okay, and yeah. So Courtney, she's like, oh my god. I know, I'm kidding. I'm really not interviewing 17 years old.
No, but we're gonna pretend
I
you
love
are
to
because
think
it's
that.
hilarious.
I mean, I have 17 imaginary boyfriends. That's happening. You know, 12 celebrity crushes. That's happening. But no, there's probably really you can only have one in your heart and your bed in your life if you want to have sanity and peace. God bless all these people. God has blessed all these people who are doing the other stuff. I couldn't. I know about myself, and I knew I couldn't do it. So anyway, we're all moving from needing to be the damsel in distress who's got to be rescued from her, you know, life, or the broken lost boy who's, you know, got to be rescued from him. And it's a different kind of rescue mission now. It is a planetary rescue mission, and rescue might even be the wrong word still. It's more of a up-leveling.
Yes.
Together.
Yep.
And so you're still we're all figuring that out. What does that mean inside me? What does that mean when I relate with a partner? What does that mean when I relate in my community, in my nation, my world? How do I want to show up? Do I want to show up as someone who is so in love with life and so happy and joyful and peaceful and blissful that I couldn't entertain or interact in cruelty, mind games, or fears, or insecurities, or, you know, negativity? I can't dip there anymore. It's just too draining. And I'm not saying to be on your high horse and perfect all the time. We talk about being human and messy and crazy and all that. But what does it look like? How do I want to be in the world, and how do I want to serve the world? Not just be like a slave or a servant, but a sovereign of sovereign service.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the highest expression of that, because we can do more together than we can do alone. That's a fact. That's truth.
Right.
That's the deepest, you know, truth I've come to is you want to go far, go alone, or you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
I think it's like an African proverb or something, or yeah. So again, it's, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far and wide and deep and blissful and magical and all these wonderful things, go together.
I love it. That's it's so great. Now you had sent me an email, and this is going to be something you wanted to touch about at the conference. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I think we can break it down like into these individual pieces of interpersonal and intimate partnership, and we can extrapolate and pull it out to the world. And what does it mean to be, is the new world order in a positive sense? What does it mean if we stop focusing on the dying world and the shadow world and the world that has been zapping our energy and causing our nervous system to have fear and anxiety and depression, right? What is the world that where we feel cherished, adored, honored, and loved and seen, and where we contribute our gifts of light with joy, and where they are received and compensated and you know, give me more, and but not in that love hungry, graspy, seedy, you know, more, but in that, you know, more, please, more of that, yummy, yummy, yes, yes.
That's
saying
awesome.
yes. You know what? People of our generation in their 30s and 40s are the indigos, right? And so like you got this perfect purple behind you. I've got my little indigo colored earrings, my little royal blue. Those colors are in our chakras, apparently, or in our auras, rather. And we are the rebels. We were born to be the rebels and tear down the old world, okay? And then the new kids, like the Enough is Enough kids, and the kids who are out there, you know, with music and concerts and joining together to band together about schools and shootings and everything, they are the next iteration of that. They are the next generation in every sense of the word.
Right.
We cleared out the old. They're here to come and innovate and build and construct the new, and they may do it with technology or virtual reality or whatever, however they're meant to do it. It doesn't really matter. That's all form, right? Remember we talked about energy and form.
Right.
So,
yep.
So that's the coolest thing, is to look at it on the individual and the collective level, and then the karmic levels. And there's a lot of rich, juicy mining that can be done for this topic that I think will help people learn how to start getting more in touch with, what do I really want? What do I really think? What do I really feel? What do I really need? And how can I then turn that into something greater? And I don't even love the words mission or purpose or passion or dream anymore. They're kind of played out. But how can I give my heart to the world?
Right.
How can I give my heart to the world? That's what I did with Dear Human. And I will never regret that. No matter what wild journey it's taken me on, and it's been pretty wild. That was my feeling and intention and vibe around that piece, is to give my heart to the world.
Wow. That's beautiful. Yeah, it was a love letter to the world. And that's a pretty big thing. Wow.
Truly. Yeah. So that's what I mean. I want the guy who can kind of come along and go, yeah, let's do Dear Human and my thing and your thing and our thing, and let's go.
Let's go. Right. Exactly. It's like seeing a mountain and you're holding hands with somebody. You're both going towards the same mountain.
Yes, you're not fighting each other. You're not even really fighting the world. You're not fighting so much. That's the old, that's the rebel, that's the indigo. That's like, I'm here to break it all down and bring it to ash so we can rebuild and be the phoenix that rises. Okay, but let's rise then.
Right.
Let's rise.
Right.
Not keep fighting. Not keep, the fire going. Let's keep the fire going, but in a way that's like warm the hearth and cook the noodles.
Well, you know what? And the thing is that if you're into the symbolism and understand it, the phoenix becomes the peacock. And that's what is on the back of these chairs, is the peacock. I will have to do that.
Just take a picture of it after and put it in.
I'll put a picture. But that's what it is. It's becoming the peacock. So you don't want to stay that, being the phoenix is amazing. And I really resonate with the phoenix, and I went through my transformation, beauty from ashes, but I am the peacock now, and I am at peace. And I have this beauty, and I own it. And it is not something I have to prove to anybody. It just is. And so that's where we want to be with not only who we are, but in our relationship. There's nothing to prove. It just is.
Yeah.
So.
And then you can show up as your full, whole, wild, messy, crazy, funny, party.
And it just is.
Yeah,
so,
I love it.
I love it. I love you. I'm so grateful for this conversation, and I am really looking forward to also have someone forgot. I don't know what that is.
Pants? I'm wearing pants.
I don't know. So anyways, business on the top, party on the bottom. So anyways, all right. So Courtney, love you. Thank you so much for doing this 2-part series. I loved it. And Courtney will be on in next week, and we have yet another. I don't know offhand what the title is, but we have another series next week. So Thank you so much. And everybody stay tuned at noon Pacific Standard Time. I will continue my series, Calling in the One, and we do have a special guest, so don't miss out. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.